and gentlemen, we're spotlighting Franciszek Wojnarowski this afternoon, and I have Frank on the line. Frank, how's everything in Connecticut?
Very good, John, very good. I miss the good old people in Western Pennsylvania very much.
Well, Frank, today we're going to be asking some questions of you about your music, about your career and everything. All during May, we're spotlighting the music of Frank Wojanrowski, what we call a Polka Spotlight Month. So, Frank, let's get started. How long ago did you get started? Let's put that for the first question.
40 years ago.
40 years?
40 years.
And how many years does it make you playing? You know, because you've probably been involved in music 40 years.
37 years I was on the road, John. 37, exactly 37 years. I retired about 5.5 years ago. I just couldn't take it traveling anymore. It was a little bit too much. When I first started, it was novelty to me. You know, I enjoyed it, and everything was fine. But when you get a little older, everything bothers, you know. And most of our jobs were out of town, and the traveling was a little too much for me. So I retired about 5.5 years ago.
Well, Frank, are you a musician as well as a composer and singer? I know you do the singing on your records, but you also play any instruments?
Yes, I play violin and a tenor sax for a little while.
Okay, and how many records have you made? Can you remember back, or do you have a total in your head there?
We made 24 LPs.
24 LPs.
24 LPs.
Which song or songs were your biggest of your recordings?
Matka. Matka was the biggest, for which I received a gold record. And second was Yechibot. And after Yechibot was Kural. And then the fourth one was Yashu Yashu. And so on. But the biggest was Matka.
And how many of those songs, you know, the biggest ones were your own compositions? I know a lot of your songs are played by other bands. How many songs have you composed yourself?
I would say 90% of the songs are mine. My own. 90%.
Okay. And now we're going to talk about your band. How many men did you carry in your band? You know, yours was one of the original big bands in polka music. How many musicians did you usually have in your band?
Well, when I first started, I had 6 men. Then I increased to 8, 10, and one time I had 14 people. I had 14 plus 2 girls vocalists. And we had the 14-piece band for about 2 years, but the overhead was too much. You have to charge quite a bit of money for 14 men. And plus I had my own bus and bus driver, so the expense was too great. But we did very well, though. Even though with 14 men, we still managed to get the jobs. So after that, I disbanded the band and went back to 8 people. Most of my orchestra consists of 8 people, John.
Okay, and of all those musicians, which of the gentlemen stayed with you the longest? I mean, which were associated with you for the longest period of time?
The longest one, I'd say the late Frankie Chop. Frankie Chop was with me for 28 years. Second was Louis Puccino. Louis Puccino was with me for 18 years. Stella Swinicki was with me for almost 20 years. Mike Violenti was with me for about 20 years. And then so on. Most of the boys stayed with me for a long time. You know, when you treat the boys good, they stay with you.
Okay, and Frank, we're talking about your band. You featured female vocalists. How many different vocalists did you have? I noticed on your records there's Eleanor Wojnarowski. Is that your wife or mom?
No, Eleanor Wojnarowski was my sister.
Okay, and then Teresa Zapolska was the last one to appear last on your recordings, and she was with you quite a while.
Yes, Teresa Zapolska was with us for almost 5 years. And then I had Arlen Rosicko. She's from Syracuse. She's doing very, very good now. She met a fellow in Syracuse with the insurance agency. They have very big business in there now. And Teresa Zapolska has her own store in Westbury, Long Island. She's doing very well, too. So, yes, then I had Julia Kowalski from New York City. She was with me for about 5 years when we were traveling.
Okay, and talking about your travels, Frank, I got another question here. Where did you appear? You know, you've appeared all over the place. I know a lot of people talking about the Coliseum in Greensburg when you used to come out there. Some of my older listeners remember your music from when they were toddlers. They said that you used to come into the Coliseum in a lot of the little towns, Du Bois and all over. But what are some of the places you've appeared other than Pennsylvania?
Well, John, almost all over the country, except we didn't go as far as Seattle and California. But our biggest crowd we had was August the 7th of 1962, I think, at the Warsaw Park in Detroit, Michigan. We drove over 8,600 people for the late Eugene Konstantinovich. He was disc jockey in Detroit. It was very, very popular. And then we play on other places. But to be honest with you, I'm not just because you're from Pennsylvania, I'm not going to tell you. I could always say that our biggest territory was Western Pennsylvania. The people were the most wonderful around Pittsburgh, Greensburg, and all those places. I don't know why, but they were just wonderful to us. So our best territory was Western Pennsylvania.
Well, the Pennsylvania people, they know good music when they hear it, and they support those bands. The last few questions I want to ask you, you know, you composed a lot of songs. Do you still compose? I mean, there's probably a lot of thoughts in your head, ideas. Do you do any composing for yourself or for other bands?
Locally. There's an orchestra by name Danny Danielchuk in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and they helped me to help them out. So I write once in a while, help them out. They have a 6-piece orchestra. They're not traveling, and they're not making any records. But I still, you know, when you have that in your heart, you always wanted to do some more.
Okay, and we're talking about your compositions and music and that, and all through your career you've had highlights, like you mentioned, the gold record on Matka. What are some of the other highlights you've had? I know there's probably some memories that stick out above all others of tributes you've gotten, awards you've gotten. Maybe you want to go over them for the people.
Well, the biggest highlight was that when they had a testimonial for me just about 2.5 years ago here in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the Holiday Inn. It was the biggest thing ever happened, and the place was sold out. And I never expect to see people, not only from local Bridgeport, but from all over, from New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, all over. They still remember. That's but the second one was when we played with the late Gene Krupa in Holyoke, Massachusetts. He was the drummer. We play on the same stage. You know, Gene Krupa was Polish too, and we had a wonderful time. Those were but the biggest.
Okay, and Frank, what are you doing right now? I mean, not right at this moment.
Well, I got sick and tired hanging around doing nothing, so I got myself a job right here in Bridgeport at the Highlight. You know what Highlight is?
No, I don't.
It's like a racetrack, but only it's no horses. It's just a man, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I work there sometimes a cashier, sometimes ticket seller. So it's good, just 6 months of the year.
And then the rest of the time you go out and meet your friends.
Just hanging out. I do make different appearances in different places. I went to Los Angeles, California. I went to Detroit, Michigan. I went to Florida not long ago with Jimmy Sturr. Jimmy Sturr has a very fine orchestra at the present time.
Well, we spotlighted Jimmy Sturr's music last month and talking to him about idols or people that he looks up to, and you were the person that he says he sort of models his band after, and he spoke highly of you. And thank you for this interview.
Thank you very much, John, for calling. Thank you.